Hello, everybody. Welcome back to With Thunder's Applause, a podcast where two friends get together to discuss the events and ideas that will shape our uncertain future or that are shaping our uncertain future. I'm your host, Steve, along with my co host, Zach. What's up?
Nothing much. Just had my first day back in class. Pretty uneventful. Icebreakers for like 2.5 hours, and then going over the syllabus. It was all right.
It was all right.
I give it a 3 out of 5.
You give it a 3 out of 5.
Well, there was like one girl who was like advertising her production company that she was trying to start. Pretty much like she asked a question like, "Oh, would any of you want to collaborate with me?" And I was like, "That comes off as a bit desperate." Okay, no. First of all.
Well, not necessarily. Looking for creative types, people that are interested in that kind of thing, taking classes and shit. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it, but at the same time, I'm just like, it's the first day. Like, wait like a week, or two until all the people are gone. Who aren't even going to finish the class. Like, make sure you're not just pitching it to whoever. Just seemed weird. Maybe that's me. Maybe that's why I never network, because I don't reach out and do that sort of thing.
Yeah, probably. It absolutely 100% could be that.
Absolutely 100% is that exact thing.
All right, we got a interesting show, long time coming. Welcome back after a series of hiatuses, I suppose you could say, holiday breaks.
Yeah.
We did shoot the poodoo after Christmas, but we've largely been on vacation, I guess you could say.
Yeah, pretty much.
For the holiday. I mean, I was abroad. If I was near my computer, we would have done a show.
Yeah.
And like when I'm working and shit, like I don't mind doing the occasional show on my shitty ass fucking cell phone, but like, with my family and stuff. So I'm getting my kids and all that other shit. So
Yeah.
did that for a while.
Mm.
And it was good. It was real good.
Valheim missed you, friend. Valheim missed you.
Valheim did. I missed Valheim very much so. You know who didn't miss Valheim?
Probably Brooke.
Probably my partner, who was like, "Will you please stop watching build videos?" I was like, "I need to know more." But like, really, like all those guys are in fucking creator mode, and I don't want to spend much time on it. But like, they're just like in a mode where they don't actually have to collect the resources. So like, of course, your build looks fucking amazing because like you don't have to go out and smash rocks for like 4 hours to get all the fucking stone.
Well, they're also like, willing to, smash 1,000 things in order to get it to look just right. Or, to get the framing just right. So it's like, it's a lot of work.
Oh yeah, and some of them are fucking gorgeous. There's a couple guys on there that I'll turn you on to maybe later, but he just like has like story prompts and then like builds villages in like different biomes or whatever. Fucking gorgeous. And like he talks through it, does a voiceover discussing why he made the design decisions he did. Is really, really, really amazing. And they also use mods to get additional assets and shit like that. But I mean, that's really cool, but it's totally different than actually playing the game and risking dying. I died today.
Oh, no. I mean, I died twice just building.
Well, bronze nails that I removed something and they fell down the freaking chimney shaft and I couldn't reach them. So I built a platform and then dropped in there to grab them and was going to pop back out, maybe take a little burn damage.
You can
And
just
something
like destroy
distracted
the
me
fire.
and I fucking died of smoke inhalation.
All right, folks, we have become a Valheim channel. We will talk exclusively about Valheim and stream our Valheim experience.
We will stream,
destroy
but
the
I think
fire,
we'll probably
right?
stream to Twitch.
Yeah.
Because I would like to do that actually. At any rate, we're going to talk about automation. Speaking of computer games and other processes and
automating my
AIs.
entertainment.
We're going to talk a little bit about automation because it's something that you're pretty passionate about. It. You're like kind of into tech. You're more into tech than I am. I'm more ecological.
Yeah.
In my thinking. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things. It's like the world's going to hell in a handbasket. This is one of the many possible dystopias, right?
Yeah. And hence the title of the show, Slayer or Savior.
Yeah, because
Because
I do think that it's unclear. And I think when we discussed AI, we talked about it a bit
yeah,
too, is that like it could also do a lot of really good things that have like kind of not great long-term consequences. Like
yeah,
it could show AI could help show companies how to make, um lesser resources or lesser resource plays like more efficient so they can be extracted at a profit.
hmm
And that would be bad for the planet, right? More industrial extraction, but AI could provide a better standard of living to some people, right?
yeah.
Or influx of economic activity to a particular community.
Well,
So,
and here's the spoiler: it all depends on who controls the technology.
spoiler, just like who controls the fucking capital.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
We-
say
uh,
it all every time I take a fucking. Actually, today my walk was really rough. I'm, been walking a lot, um, trying to do at least 3 miles a day. And we did a shorter walk today because I just wasn't into it. And it's been kind of fucking cold, dude. Like it
mhm,
got pretty frigid. It's
yeah.
the coldest it's been all winter for sure. Um,
For those outside of California, we got into the 40s where I live.
it
So
was
cold.
33 last night when
Oh,
I
nice,
fucking went outside to smoke a joint before bed.
nice.
That's fucking cold. It's not as
hmm
cold as it gets, but it doesn't really get or stay cold for very long,
It's cold enough to be
or
very
much of the
unpleasant.
year. A handful of times a year, maybe 10 or 12 or something, maybe. At any rate, it was cold, yeah. And so we didn't really go for a long walk, but I was just fucking irritated the whole time looking at the way the development has proceeded and all that. And so it comes to this question
Mm,
of who controls it, who controls land use. Well, the people who want to make a profit own the government, and they, especially local governments which make land use decisions, and
mhm,
they just do whatever makes them the most money, and it doesn't make sense. It's not integrated into the environment. We walked by, there's this big trench system, and I want to like look into what it is. I might just like go ask, like, if I see an engineer there, I might ask them. It was just like some Mexican roofers or whatever. And so I didn't stop, but like there's this whole construction that looks like it's to catch water because that area is known for like the soils are really thin and
mhm,
they're on top of rock cap. And so, because it's well outside of the floodplain or whatever.
yeah.
And so, when it gets saturated, the water will run underground. And then, like, they built other houses back there, and people have had like water just like come up into their houses,
Oh,
like
wow.
seep into it because basically, like, the whole ground gets saturated and there's no place for the water to go
Do
because
they?
it's on top of rock. And so they built this huge structure that's slightly like on bedrock and then has pipes that run out into the soil that are like French drains. And they're basically just to
Wow.
collect the water and put it in a place where then it goes to a storm drain where it goes through a big concrete pipe miles and miles and miles until it spits out into a drainage. It connects to the storm drain system. I don't want to say they built a pipe for just one subdivision, but
Mhm,
like or one cul-de-sac. But it was part of the master plan for that whole area that's been being developed, and it's just fucking stupid. It's just fucking dumb. It's like
yeah,
let's
it's a
let,
ton
let's
of
find
work.
ways we can build around that. Like maybe put our buildings a little higher and maybe work a little bit to hold more water in the landscape at strategic points because the water is going to be there whether you want it or not. You might as well work around it and have something that looks like it fits in that ecosystem and that soil context and all that shit. Instead, what we do is just have fucking blacktop and $2,400 a month 2 bedroom 2 bath apartments.
Yeah.
It's fucking
It
absurd.
it does sound like the most incredibly, resource intense way to build.
Yeah, I think I've quoted James Howard Kunstler on this show before, where he says that suburbia is the greatest misallocation of resources in human history.
Mm,
Just incredibly resource intensive for like not a lot of yield, like, and not a yield that like makes anybody feel good. Like everybody in city planning has like gravitated back towards like the way that humans built cities forever before the automobile and before the development corporation, right? Because like Long Island all developed and what's his fucking name, Moses or whatever, Robert Moses, I think, and created the suburb. And Who Framed Roger Rabbit, right?
Mm-hmm.
My vision is going to be fucking just a big road, and there's going to be gas stations all on the side of it.
Cars as far as the eye can see. Yeah.
I should watch that movie again.
I watched it recently, actually.
Did you?
Yeah. Fresh.
Do you think that computers and automated machines could write such a clever show or movie? Probably.
Given time. I mean,
Probably. Given time.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, as with all things that are AI right now, is it needs feedback from humans. And, as you saw and, we saw, and everybody who watched that episode saw, you can really, like, fine tune the writing, or at least get it to, like, help you with it. And so, yeah, I could see it, writing something similar enough one day.
Excellent. Well, let's get into some of the material you got.
Yeah, man. Start off with Richard Wolff. This is him on Democracy at Work.
Fantastic.
Well, then what is it that accounts for the loss of the good jobs and the good pay that went with them? Well, here's the answer, because it's very well known and well documented. The first reason those jobs are gone is because they've been replaced by machines. It's what economists call automation. And it's important to understand what that means. Otherwise, we're going to blame the machine. And in case you think that's strange, let me remind you that at the beginning of the 19th century, when industrialization came to Britain, they had a mass movement called the Luddites. And you know what the Luddites did? They smashed machines. They broke into factories at night and smashed the machines because it was the machines, they thought, that had done in the jobs in the textile industry that they once had enjoyed.
Pause that real quick.
Well, machines...
he is aware of this history, but probably the way he wrote his narrative to present this concept or this idea did not have room for it, because they're really kind of more of a footnote as far as the broader conversation's concerned. But one of the complaints of the Luddites was not just like the machines took our jobs, but that the machines took skilled labor that showed craftsmanship and rendered the labor skillless and produced a really shitty product compared. Like, there was no artist value, so they devalued the entire like object. Like, so there was a kind of cultural resistance to industrial mode of production and stripping it away from like the craftsmanship and the individual imprint on our built environment and on the objects in our day-to-day lives, and just mass produce them so that they become consumption. So instead of being like, tools and aesthetic pieces and other things that we surround ourselves with, like furniture and silverware and all that shit, right? Instead of being like objects that we care for and that have care put into the making of them, we just mass produce and we become mindless consumers. So it's not just that machines took the job. I think that there was a lot more to their grievances, their list of grievances, than just the machines took our jobs. But I mean, largely, what does it mean for a machine to take your job? It means that it no longer cares. It no longer puts, its skill or intention into the object. It just does it because that's what it does. Anyway, carry on.
Don't come into the business on their own. Somebody brings the machine. Somebody buys the machine and pays somebody to bring it. Who is it? And the answer is the employer, the capitalist. And the only reason machines are brought in to replace workers is if it's more profitable to have a machine than a worker. Most workers know that. And here's the irony to understand, because it's a crucial reality of capitalism. The more successful workers are in driving up their wages so that they can have the American dream, the greater the incentive of their employer to replace them with a machine.
Pause real quick.
Or outsource their labor.
Right, outsource. Another part of that is because a worker, you can't really. I mean, I guess you can write off when you do your accounting,
Mhm.
you can kind of like take some of your profit and hide it in like employee development, but like machineries have depreciation costs.
Yeah.
And so no, even if that machine will work with regular maintenance for
Mhm.
25 years, like they'll cost it out to depreciate in 10.
Yeah.
And so like it's just accounting, right? Like how they determine. So like there's a benefit to machines in that way too. Is
Right.
that now you have additional expenses which reduce your taxable income
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
depreciation is an expense.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah. And all sorts of stuff. So at any rate, there's a lot of reasons why companies want to do it, but he's correct, which is what you saw with fast food workers fighting. And now they have these automated kiosks, which I always refuse to use. And COVID, it's so sinister. A great transfer of wealth, right? From the fucking many to the few. Like, they're like, oh, we need to do this to make it contactless. And they just pushed all this shit through. Like grocery stores were doing those lines, but now fast food does it. And I'm like, can somebody help me? And they're like, use the machine over there. And I was like, but I don't want to. And they're like, we don't have staff to like run a register. Use the machine. And then I'm like, what if I wanted to pay cash? Ooh, we can't help you. Sorry. It's like, and then, it's a matter of time. It depends on if I'm having a bad day. But, I might have to make a scene. Not as a Luddite. I won't smash the machines per se because I don't want to, get misdemeanor vandalism or whatever. Probably felony vandalism, honestly.
I'm sure they face that too.
Yeah. But no, just fucking make it stink about a dollar bill being fucking legal currency.
Yeah.
Like you have to take this. You are legally obligated to take this and find some some attorney that's willing to fucking take that and argue for it against switching to all digital currency.
Next thing you know, you got a few $1 million in your pocket and you don't have to worry about things. All right. Who wants to go to McDonald's with us?
All right. So anyway, do you have more with Richard Wolff?
It was like 5 seconds. We can go ahead and play it real quick.
Sure. Sorry.
And over the last 40 to 50 years, that's exactly what happened.
Just finishing his thought.
Yeah, you should have let that roll. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's true, right? So the more people demand higher wages, right?
Yeah.
The more they're figuring out how to automate it.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, and then you get the benefit of people like me who go into a job and they're like, I don't want to do this job. I'm going to figure out, ways to make this simpler, more streamlined, more automated. And then like I quit and all that infrastructure is still there as long as the next person knows how to use it, which is real. I was going to say it's a real risk. Like, when I got, to my last job, there were a bunch of things that had been put into place that nobody really knew how they worked. And I was just like, seriously, guys, we got, okay, cool. I'll fix all this stuff for you because it helps me too. And so like you have a lot of workers that are just like, I'll even help you, make things better for free, basically.
Yeah. Air traffic's a perfect example. Like there are this is the way we do this. It's like, why? It's like, because this is the way that we discussed and it determined it to be. Not we discussed. This is the way it was discussed at some point and determined to be the best way to do it. So this is the way we have to do it. And then you're like, but what about this? And how about this? And what about,
like we don't talk about that.
And ultimately it all boils down is that like those kinds of legacy things, like those people leave that had that discussion and it's just there. And one person that learned it teaches it to another person who teaches it to another person who teaches it. And then we have all these embedded that's part of the reason complex societies, like especially complex bureaucracies, start to get to the point where they are now in ossify. They're unable to solve problems because they're so fucking tethered to, well, so-and-so did it this way and this seemed to work, so we're just going to do it this way.
Yeah. Or it set a precedent and now we all do it that way. Because we think that's the way that it is supposed to be done.
Yeah.
You run into a lot of that. Like, oh, it's the way it's supposed to be done. Like, who says that? Like, I don't know. Is it in a book anywhere? Like, no. Why are we listening to that?
But even for air traffic, it is in a book,
Yeah.
right? It's
Well,
in
that is the big difference. Yeah.
instruction or an operating procedural document or something. And a lot of the times you can be like, no, this procedure is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Or this procedure is too narrow. Like you need to make this like more vague because people are misreading this and doing things that are dangerous, and they're so focused on following the rule that was written 20 years ago that they can't adapt to the situation at hand.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yep.
what else we got? Is that a G for Google?
It is a G for Google.
Is this a Google chat talk?
No, it is actually a talkless cartoon.
Oh.
It's the last worker on Earth.
The last worker?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Living in his pod. Jesus. Chatbot. Potential malady. Wow, that's really intense.
There's fucking no one left to help.
Over 30s now.
We are bricklaying. Yeah. And earlier I said it's important, or one of the most important things about all the technology and the AI is who controls it. And in our current system, it's whoever has the money. And we probably don't want to proceed like that unless you want a future like that. Like, I have to question, it said 1,000 apartments vacant. Like, why are the apartments vacant?
That's what I said.
Yeah. Like, are there
'Cause they're
no
all
jobs?
human?
And I mean, are there no jobs and people are like evacuating cities, in order to go back to like an agrarian lifestyle, as happens when everything collapses? Are they fucking, has humanity shrunk back? Because the best things have happened and we've got all the intelligence and all the healthcare and family planning and everything. And so instead of being, 8 billion or whatever, we're down to like a more manageable 5 or something because we're not all having way too many children. I don't know.
Yeah, this kind of future would only work because the whole system's built. And this was one of my complaints today on our walk, was like, this is the way it is. Like, you have to work to feed yourself. And so if you don't work, then you deserve to starve.
Yeah.
If you don't go make someone a profit and then also make an income that gets taxed to support the bureaucratic class, then you can go hungry, because if you don't play by the fucking rules, then you don't deserve to exist. If you
Yeah.
don't play by the system that just enriches a handful at the expense of yourself and everyone else, then you don't deserve to exist.
Yeah, for me, it's gotten to the point where like living in a country that doesn't provide like basic housing for everyone is just not something I can keep doing. And I don't know if that means if I gotta leave or if I just gotta like join something in order to fight for housing for all. I don't know. It just seems so silly that we would just let people not have houses
Or food,
or food. Yeah,
or clothing,
yeah.
or medical care,
We can provide for the
including mental health
masses.
care, including fucking dental care.
Yeah,
The
in
fact that
every
even fucking the poor people health insurance doesn't cover your fucking teeth is so
right.
absurd, dude.
The wife calls them luxury bones.
Ooh, the luxury bone.
Luxury
I like that
bones.
a
Yeah,
lot.
you
Ooh.
don't get to keep them unless you have the luxury
That would be a
insurance.
cool script for your fucking class movie.
Just call it luxury bones.
Yeah, and just fucking ask homeless people. You say you want to raise awareness about the lack of dental care among those in poverty, and then just do like a whole thing where you're just filming fucking people's fucked up mouths. I don't know. It would probably be very personal and very kind of gross, but like could be luxury bone sounds like a cool little documentary title.
There are a bunch of like students that I could get involved in something like that. I'm sure a bunch of them were like, I think of myself as very artistic. And I'm like, cool, man. Fuck it. Let's do luxury bones then.
Yeah, let's do luxury bones.
Let's fucking take it and run with it. Yeah,
That's fucked up because your fucking teeth infections kill people.
exactly. I was thinking that
It
the
was
other day.
one of the more common causes of death in the fairly recent history as diets got worse because of industrial civilization and living in cities and stuff. As diets got worse, more and more people died of bad teeth.
Hmm. Yeah. And
'Cause you
now,
get an abscess, an infection, and it gets in your blood and it kills you.
yep. And then, we're sold toothpaste that have like, incredible, abrasive properties and we still get the endorsement on them. They're like, no, not a 10 dentists say. Speaking of titles, I was watching a video and they were talking about like, that 10th dentist. And they were like, man, you should make a horror movie called The 10th Dentist.
I actually, speaking of dentistry, a YouTube comedy short came across my feed, and I wanted to look the guy up. I think I screenshotted his name, but the bit I saw part of was him talking about, or it was an advertisement for like a new comedy special, and the joke he was telling is about like, why do we say we're going to the dentist? Because we're actually going to the dental hygienist. Because like, no, you go to the dentist and no one ever sees a fucking dentist. The person that you see and interact with is not even a dentist.
Yep.
They're just trained to clean teeth.
Yeah, and even when you get like x-rays done, it's the same person and they take it over to the dentist and that's only for insurance purposes. The dentist is pretty much just, deferring or to the hygienist's
The
ability.
expertise.
Yeah, and be like, "Oh yeah, that looks like, that to me because I've seen it a lot, and I've watched you be like, "Oh yeah, that's this, that's this."
Yeah,
I know
he
what it
does a
looks
lot
like.
of tools in the mouth too,
Yeah.
beyond cleaning. Like when
Absolutely.
I broke a tooth because I fucking hit myself in the face on accident. He ground down the nub and inspected it, and then when I came in the next day, he was the one that did the patch
Yeah.
and patched the tooth up. Is you basically just rebuild the tooth with enamel, whatever.
Yeah. It's no
I
big deal.
spend a lot of money
They're
on
the experts.
my mouth. I think I figured it was something like $2,000 a year.
Wow.
I mean, because it costs fucking $300 a visit, and they want to see me every 3 months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not always 2,000, but I've spent fucking money on it. It's shitty. It should be free, like healthcare and housing and food.
Yeah. I mean, what the fuck else is the point of society?
What the
If
fuck
our
is the
main
point of automating so many things? Yeah, if we can't automate them for our own standard of living.
Because Disney needs to write things without writers, man. Because that's the best way to make money is fire people.
Well, the shit they were writing with writers wasn't very good, so maybe the AI will do better. I mean, fuck, we rewrote. I think wasn't that you and I, or was it me and Brooke? We rewrote the fucking season 3 of The Mandalorian. Like, it would have been so much better if you took this stuff and you moved that up and you took
Oh,
this and got rid of that completely.
that was
You
her.
didn't need it.
Yeah, that was her. That wasn't me.
That was you, yeah. Where it's like, it wasn't necessarily bad. It was just really disjointed because they
Mm.
took stuff that should have led and kind of given you an emotional stake in it, and they threw it in there with no emotional stakes.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
they were trialing a superhero movie, Star Wars superhero movie. Is what they were doing.
Yeah. Which of the Mandalorians does everyone want to see? Anyway, back over to the thing we're actually supposed to talk about tonight.
That's it. That's what we were. Automation, AI writing fucking TV
That's true.
scripts.
That's true.
Also, stoners sitting in their room, fucking drinking beer.
Oh no! It
Playing
doesn't work when I
Valheim,
change this.
fucking writing better scripts than the professional writers. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna brag about how I figured out this thing to highlight stuff, and then I realized that when you zoom in, it doesn't work anymore. I have to zoom in
Oh,
first. I have to zoom in first. Oh well, that's okay. So this is an article from the Marxist Student. And they are talking about how automation is terrible under capitalism and progress under socialism, as we've touched on.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
So
as we've touched on a bit.
yeah.
And they basically go over how an analysis showed that 40% of U.S. jobs could be lost to automation in the next 15 years, with similar numbers in Germany and Britain, and a slightly lower number in Japan. It has worried economists.
Sorry to interrupt. What year was this written?
2017. So
Okay.
we've already had 6 years to stew on this.
Right. And moreover, like, Germany is hemorrhaging jobs, and not just because of automation, but because they are no longer energy secure, because they chose to go along with the US and no longer have access to cheap natural gas.
Yes.
So anyway, continue.
Oh, yeah, no problem. The loss of jobs to automation is something that has worried economists, workers, and social commentators since the Industrial Revolution. They talk about the Luddites for a bit, and then how more and more aspects of production can now be done without human labor. A report that was issued by Obama's outgoing administration saw that 2 to 3 million jobs could be threatened by automated vehicles. With the hindsight of 6 years, we can say that's probably not going to happen even 15 years from now, because it doesn't appear as though they're making good leaps and bounds. But as of the writing, the most of the types of jobs that were most susceptible to replacement are white collar jobs, sales, administration, and blue collar jobs on assembly lines. It's very typical of what we've seen in the past for assembly line and machine jobs to go away. Since this has been written, Amazon has started using robots that routinely run over and crush people to try to increase speed in their warehouses. So, I mean, it's already gotten a little bit worse regarding the assembly line and machine operation. Yeah, and then of course, with our future site, we know that this is true, that increasingly complex jobs are likely to be superseded by machines, and in many cases corporations such as the movie industry are taking moves to try and do that. Doctors stand to be automated, and this has only improved since this was written. You have machines that can you breathe into them, and they can tell if you have certain maladies. Similar to the cartoon, how she put the toothbrush in there. We've already got a fair amount of that right now. You got pattern recognition software that can catch cancer at a rate equal to or better than a human. This is the one that concerned me. They said even surgeons could risk losing their jobs to highly sophisticated machines, including one called Da Vinci, through which a surgeon can perform surgeries by controlling a machine online from anywhere in the world. My first question as a gamer is, what about the lag? Because anytime I get lag in my computer game, I shoot forward and then rebound backward. I do not want that happening inside of me. What if you get a disconnect? What does the machine do? Is there another surgeon nearby that can, hopefully finish this so I don't bleed out.
So can I offer a little anecdote on that, specifically around surgeons?
Yeah, have at it.
When I was in the military, I came home to visit friends, and one of my friends from back in the day, like way back in the day, like smoking Mexican fucking weed out of a tin can back in the day.
Ooh, that's back in the day.
Yeah, back in the slumming days. And at any rate, he went from making doing like QA for a company who made high-end speakers after he got an electronics degree or whatever. He's not a certified engineer, I don't think, but he got like a technical degree or whatever and was testing speakers. And then he wound up, when I came to visit and hung out with him, he was actually working for a company. He lived in Fremont, I want to say, and was commuting in to the Silicon. I mean, basically we're in the Silicon Valley or whatever.
Mhm.
And he was working on surgical robots, dude.
Oh, okay.
For specific, really, really routine shit.
Yeah.
And the surgeon was still present,
Mhm.
but it was done. They were building it, designing it in such a way that it would take a lot of the fine motor skill out of it. Because it's just a routine, they map it basically and
Yeah.
plot it, and then the machine reads the fucking dots
Yeah.
and then can measure distances. So in terms of lag, there is none because you've actually measured that person's knee,
Yeah.
and then it can go in and be like, me. It's basically like a CNC surgical machine,
Yeah.
right?
Or
And then
or
the
a
surgeon's
cricket.
watching through a screen and little, pardon me, telescopic cameras and shit. So
Yeah.
there's still a surgeon present, but as far as like surgeons going out of business, without this equipment, you would need 4 or 5 skilled surgeons to do all the knee surgeries in a region, right?
Mhm.
Like at any given time. And now with this, like one skilled surgeon can burn through like a bunch of surgeries in a day
Yeah.
and not really have the same kind of fatigue. Like, no, I'm going to get carpal tunnel if I do another fucking surgery, and then I won't be working for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It eliminates all of that because it's all like little fucking joysticks and remote control and all that shit, and it's all plotted out and it's all very routine, and it's also not like open heart surgery or something like that. It's like it's a fucking knee. We need to go in, open it up, clean all that fucking bullshit out there, put a couple screws in it or whatever, and be done.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great example of like something we should all be happy about, but in our current existing system, it's like, well, that's threatening jobs and like high paying jobs too. So like that should be doubly, egregious. But
Yeah, I'm the type of person that's like, if you wreck your fucking knee because you're a marathon runner, then you should have to deal with the consequences of your fucking actions.
I guess, I don't know. I mean, some people enjoy running. And also, nobody can control the quality of knees they have.
Yeah, but then when there's antibiotic fucking shortages and people who have bad infections can't get it because someone who's wealthier than them is taking preventative antibiotics because they got an elective knee surgery, like then it becomes a fucking problem.
Yeah, it does.
You're not wrong. I think that people should have access to healthcare that improves their quality of life, but also like I don't think people who fucking, drink themselves into cirrhosis deserve a liver.
Yeah.
I didn't think that my 70-year-old grandmother deserved a fucking kidney transplant, even though it bought her another fucking 20 years of life.
Yeah, that's a hard
Like,
one.
sorry, dude, you're fucking 70.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need 20 more years of life. You've already passed life expectancy.
Yeah, it really should be, like young in, young out.
But then again, now you're talking about you're a fucking Hitler because you want to kill old people.
Gerontocracide.
Geronticide, yeah, geronticide.
Gerontocracide. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah,
Right,
carry
on.
As it goes on, the fact that so many of our jobs can be done by machines with today's technology should be a blessing, as we've been saying. We could dramatically reduce the amount that we have to work, and since there's no drop in how much is being done, we shouldn't be seeing a drop in our wages. Not how we're choosing to run it, but that's what we got. And it should be should be that we take home the same salaries, but just have more free time for our hobbies and shit. And like you would think that capitalism would be like, oh, that's awesome. You have more free time to spend money now. But nope, that's lost. It just means you
Not
lose
me,
your
just
income.
time. Spend time, no money.
Yeah. Let's see. I think this is the part that I like the most, where it talks about the idea that one capitalist who is taking advantage of the robots to the detriment of his workers is terrible, but the system can accept it. But everyone doing it draws the system to a halt, because now you don't have anyone to spend any money. Like, we've talked about it in the past. You can only buy so many super yachts. You're just not going to put the money where it needs to be. And so the economy is pretty much going to grind to a halt.
Yeah, at some point you're so rich, the only thing you can spend money on is flying on a guy's private jet to go like fucking sexually assault minors on
Right?
an island in the Caribbean.
Exactly. Nobody wants that.
I don't want that.
Especially not the minors. Yeah, and so basically just
Wait, only a socialist revolution.
oh yes. Oh, here you go. They talk about how our politicians have no real solution for the contradictions inherent in capitalism, which is to say, that you try to get everything at the lowest price as a producer, but that makes it so that there's nobody to spend money on your shit.
Right.
And so the only solution is a socialist one, for the working class to take control of major levers of the economy and to democratically plan a production on a socialist basis.
And I would say an eco-socialist basis is my vision, because I don't think that we should just follow the model, right? Well, they've done it this way and it worked, so let's, right? Like, and that's the thing that a lot of fucking people who call themselves socialists or even communists can't understand. It's like, no, we need a clean break from the system broadly.
Yeah.
We can't just, do it that way, but the workers control the means, because then it just becomes ineffective through bureaucratic morass or whatever, right? Like, it just becomes impossible to manage it. And it becomes incredibly corrupt. Like, direct democracy, number one, but also like orienting societal resources towards things that are regenerative, instead of trying to fucking keep the industrial system alive through another way of managing it, right? Like,
well, and find the actual carrying capacity of the planet.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's pretty easy to calculate at this time, and that's kind of been the thing that's driven me and motivated me to do a lot of the things I do, is that not only has the population exploded past the normal carrying capacity, but we've degraded the environment. So the gap between the existing population now and the real carrying capacity of the planet is fucking massive. It's fucking a massive gap, because we've destroyed soils, we've destroyed fisheries, we've destroyed forests, we've destroyed functioning hydrological systems. We've done all of this shit. We've basically stripped the carrying. We've mined the carrying capacity. That's what this surplus has been. This is what fossil energy has allowed us to do, right? It's allowed us to live so far beyond our means that we ate up all our natural capital. And now we're not drawing anything from it. It's just kind of teetering on the brink of fucking oblivion.
Yeah, and it may get to a point where there is no turning back. Like, we can easily make this planet uninhabitable for ourselves, and then all is lost.
Yeah,
and it'll be a long time before anything might rise up to take our place.
And I mean, huge chunks of it are already becoming uninhabitable now.
Yeah.
Whether that's, we talked about sea level rise, right? But also wet bulb temperatures in the Middle East.
Yeah. Yep.
Toxic zones, right? Exclusion zones and shit like that, too. It's fucking crazy. At any rate, I think that most of this kind of like propagandistic language is just kind of like, I'm fucking older and way more jaded. I still identify as an anarchist communist. I absolutely think that like revolution is part of the social process. I don't really buy into a lot of the idealism though, because really life is struggle, and like revolution is a struggle, and it never fucking happens, and then it comes in little bits of explosions, and it never gets oriented towards the way that it needs to be to actually reach like true sustainability.
There was a bit of that cartoon that was pretty easy to miss. You spoke about life being a struggle, and it showed like a VR hangout place, and it was like join our new VR bricklaying and business consultant. Basically like there's no jobs left, and people like feel like they need a job, and so they'll play a game to give them the feel of the job. Guilty. I have done hours of power washing online. Like shit's fun, satisfying. But yeah, like that's what it comes down to. It's like lack of meaning, I think, from not having the job that you're told is so important. I think we'd find better things to do, and I think I have someone who agrees with me right over here.
What is their name?
This is from Second Thought, and I am going to take this opportunity to step away for a moment. As soon as
How many minutes is it?
It is a minute and 43 seconds.
Very good.
Expects work under a socialist economy, whereas the capitalist exploits the advancements of technology to pit the workers against themselves, bringing down their wages, working conditions, or kicking them out of their job entirely. A socialist society has no such pressure to exert. Work being taken out of human hands is just that, no strings attached. Even if automation does not abolish all work, in capitalist or socialist economies alike, it will definitely reduce the amount of work we have to do. Whereas a capitalist system responds to this with unemployment, worsening working conditions, lower wages, or even meaningless jobs that only serve to increase profits without improving anything, a democratic organization of the economy can simply grant the worker more free time. Picture your average day at work when automation has all but taken over. With fewer responsibilities and fewer hours of human work needed, divided across more people whose jobs are also largely taken care of, a workday could be just a few hours long, if that. A work week just a few days. You could return home after a short day, knowing that your needs are taken care of, allowing you to spend your free time whichever way you like. More time means you can take up more hobbies, continue your education, or simply enjoy your life a whole lot more. You could take pleasure in activities that make you more fulfilled, or choose to spend your time working in your community, teaching classes, helping to plant trees, fixing potholes, whatever you want. In our current society, this kind of freedom is a luxury awarded only to the lucky few. Under its automated extreme, that same freedom is lost to meaningless work, to fatigue, and to desperately trying to stay afloat. In a system where your survival isn't directly tied to the hours you work, automation is a blessing, both for you and everyone else. Automation grants you...
How'd you like that pie in the sky shit right there? Oh, you're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
No.
Restart Rand.
No.
Restart
I said
Rand.
if I had this clip,
Uh-huh.
because I didn't look, I'll be fucking completely honest.
Yeah.
If I had this clip in a notepad and I could watch through it a few times, I would have taken a lot of notes, because there's so many assumptions baked into that. That it's like, oh, but if we had more automation, then you'd live this great life. You could live this great lifestyle where you don't need to work. We don't need to automate, and we don't need to work that hard. Right? Most of the stuff we do, as we've discussed on the show before, most of the stuff that people say are jobs are bullshit jobs.
Yeah.
We don't need to do them, and we don't need to automate it. We don't need machines or computer learning to do the job for us. We just need to say, hey, that job does not advance anybody's well-being. Or maybe let's do a cost-benefit analysis. Like, the amount of time it takes to do this thing does not provide that much benefit to society to justify the expense of that energy, right? Under the existing system, it's done because it's profitable, not because it benefits people, right? Like, it's done because it can make money. And in this scenario, like, they're like, then you could spend time doing the things you want. And it's like riding a mountain bike, which is cool, and painting, which is cool. But like a mountain bike is a fucking product of an industrial society.
Mm-hmm.
You need energy to smelt metal. Like, and sure, I guess machines can make bikes, but my point is like, instead, again, they start with the existing system, and Caleb Maupin is like a pretty well-known, he runs the Center for Political Innovation in New York, and he's pretty much like he's a major figure or spokesperson for communism online, at least in the parts of the internet I'm on. The communists who aren't, because most communists are fucking old. He's younger, he's online. And then there's other people who pretend to be communists, but they're CIA plants, or they kind of use communist
How do you
rhetoric.
tell the difference, though?
Or what's that?
How do you tell the difference?
You look at who they are and also pay attention to what they're saying, and like you hear cues.
Mm.
But at any rate, Caleb Maupin is that guy. Well, it doesn't matter. Like they can't get beyond communism can do capitalism better than capitalism can. And I don't want fucking capital. I don't want industrial civilization.
Yeah.
Like, can communism give us something that's truly sustainable? Because everything that video just showed, like we could work. We don't need automation. We don't need machines and machine learning to like reduce the amount of hours we work. We work more now than medieval peasants did. So maybe we can go back to being medieval peasants, but we're an autonomous commune, right? Like in the fucking with the Monty Python bit, right?
Yeah,
like we're an autonomous
collective.
commune. Don't play it; we'll get copyrighted.
I know.
But seriously, right? Like, why not? Because they worked less than we do. They had a commons. If they needed to heat their house, they could go to the fucking communal woodlot and cut wood, right? And it wouldn't just be like this. Again, it's college educated people who don't have real fucking jobs, who've never actually been like workers with their hands, pontificating about working with your hands. And so they just like cast this caricature like all labor is like a fucking, an 18th century factory in London, smoke choked London. It's not. Most people who do mundane shit don't mind going to work. Like,
Weird.
there's not a lot of people who fucking be like, you know what? I hate my job.
Really?
I did. But it wasn't because it was fucking mundane. It was because it was unnecessarily stressful and very demanding on me mentally and emotionally.
I have not met a whole lot of people who didn't hate their job, but I also worked in banking.
Well, my dad fucking was a cubicle jockey, but guess what? I rarely heard him say, I fucking hate my job. No. He would get annoyed with things. He'd be like, God, they want me to do this and it's not the right thing. And they won't listen to me, blah, blah, something like that. But it was just another challenge in the day. It was never like, I am so fucking miserable. I'm about to eat a bullet. And that's how they portrayed it in that video. Is it just like all labor is just so fucking monotonous. And then they showed machinists. Every machinist I've known is a fucking right winger. Like, I've never met a fucking left-wing machinist. And maybe because I haven't been around for that long, or I don't know that many machinists. But like, machinists, they're skilled labor. They get paid very well. And what they do, they're proud of what they do. Even if it's mundane, they are proud of what they do. Right? Like, so again, it's just fucking college-educated fucking kids pontificating about something they don't really understand.
Or maybe you're just hanging out in areas of too skilled labor and you got to get down to the unskilled labor to find the miserable people.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, service jobs, those are the most miserable people I see. But are they miserable because they really fucking hate the work? Or are they miserable because like the work they do, they get treated like shit by society who looks
not paid enough,
who look down on them while also not being paid enough to pay their fucking rent and get dental care, as we were talking about? Like,
I definitely know at least one person who's like, I really liked the service industry, but the pay basically makes it untenable. And it's like, that's unfortunate. Because like people do like making excuse me, people do like making food for other people and seeing the look on their faces as they're eating and all that stuff. But when you're doing it for shit wages and they will withhold tips if you don't treat them a certain way. Yeah, it's hard to be happy.
Yeah, and I'm starting to feel my elevated heart rate. You should play that fucking funky music, Funky Robot Dance, which is funny because we've been playing Funky Robot Dance from the very beginning of us having a outro music, and it is appropriate today. Apropos, you might say.
Because it is a
Then may
funky
all
robot
your
dance.
robots be funky and your
dance.
Grogu's too. No, but like I can feel my heart getting elevated because like it's so fucking abundantly clear to me at this point.
Yeah.
Like again, I said I consider myself an anarchist communist. I think about these issues and I've thought long and hard, and I think in terms of systems. The only thing that's ever made sense to me is like housing. It's like remove housing from the speculative market. No, it's 50% of people's fucking monthly budget. You could work half as much if you didn't have to fucking pay rent.
Yeah.
Because you lived in a building that was owned by your municipality or owned cooperatively or communally among all the members there. And then you know what I mean? You have your flat.
Yeah.
And there's a modest monthly fee that goes into like basically like the HOA fund for maintenance and shit to replace the boiler or whatever the fuck it is, right? Like, and there's insurance, you pay for insurance or whatever, but largely you don't have a housing expense. People could work half as much as they do now, which many people work 60 hours a week, or they live in a household where two people have to fucking both work full fucking time to just barely scrape
Very
by.
common.
And here you could eliminate that. One person could quit working entirely and one person could cut 10 hours a week and you would still be able to be fucking comfortable. And we would be able to choose the lifestyle we want to live. If we want to go buy ATVs or get the season pass to the expensive mountain to go snowboarding, then we could work a little harder. But the rest of us who are totally satisfied with just chilling the fuck out could chill the fuck out. Preach!
Chilling out, playing Valheim. Woo!
This has been With Thunder's Applause, where we wish that housing was collectively owned.
Truly a human right.
So that we could actually begin to thrive as human beings. And also, we understand that when liberty dies, it dies with Thunder's Applause. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy Grogu.